Hey guys, Justin Nelson here, owner of Sphere Rocket Virtual Assistants, and I just wanted to bring you guys a quick video today on how to find your own virtual assistants. And so even though I'm the owner of Sphere Rocket Virtual Assistants, a matchmaking service that's been around for over 5+ years, and we've matched over 10,000 plus VAs for over 4,000 plus business owners, doing all of the recruitment, doing all the screening, all the vetting, and while that's our specialty, we know that there's every once in a while a small part of the population that's not quite ready to use a company like ours yet, and you're probably wondering, like, how do I go find my own virtual assistant, right? Justin, you have packages for people that need VAs for 10 hours, 20 hours, 40 hours, and you have all these crazy benefits, but what if I just want to go find my own virtual assistant? How would I do that? And so I'm going to give you guys 2 sites today that I would recommend that you guys use for virtual assistants, and give you guys some tips and tricks around best practices when finding your own virtual assistants. And so, like I said, even though I own a virtual assistant matchmaking platform called Sphere Rocket VA, I still want to deep dive the exact methods that you can use to get started. Many of these methods are methods I used many years ago. Obviously, they have a few obstacles that you're going to have to get through that you wouldn't have to get through if you used a company like ours, but I want to give you as much tips and tricks as I can for if you have to go do it yourself, that you are the best armed with the best information to avoid getting scammed, avoid doing the wrong things the best that you can. And so if you're sitting here today wondering, I need to hire a virtual assistant, what are the best platforms? How do I do it? I'm going to start with step number 1. Step number 1 is you need to create a job description for your virtual assistant position. No platform where you go search for virtual assistants is going to be effective if you don't have a really rock solid job description. So I'm going to go through the job description real fast and point out a few things. Obviously, you need the title of the role, you need what the role does, you obviously need the salary range, whether it's $3, $4, $5, $6 an hour. You need to put what country you're looking for them to be located in, and you obviously have to put all the normal things, right? But what I want to tell you about the job description that is really important, as much as you are vetting virtual assistant candidates one way, they are also vetting you back, right? So when you make your job description, you want to make sure that you look as stable as a company as humanly possible, because what you have to imagine is there's a lot of Americans that will go hire virtual assistants, and they have really small businesses or really inconsistent businesses. They'll hire the VA on for a few days, and then the business owner will get overwhelmed, and then they'll just let the VA go, and it starts to build up these scars on the virtual assistants that they also begin to not trust, American-based business owners, if they're not stable. And so one of the things that really top-tier talent virtual assistants do is they're looking for stable business owners as well. So again, just as much as you're interviewing them, they're interviewing you as well, right? And while it might not be a one-to-one interview, they're looking at your job description to go, does this company look like they know what they have, their stuff together? Does this company look like they are going to be, held accountable when we're working in this symbiotic relationship? And so when you're going through your job description, you obviously need to have all the different things. I also put a chat GPT template down below that you can use. That is what we use for our job descriptions. I've loaded in over 10,000 different job descriptions that we've built for our team members and clients across the world that you guys can take advantage of as well to write out your own job description. So that's just in the link below. But once you have the job description, I want to look at all the what I call the fluff. The fluff is the really important piece. So when you're trying to find your own virtual assistant, I want you to keep this fact at the top of your mind. You are not looking usually for a freelancer. You are looking for a BPO experienced virtual assistant. Now, there are plenty of freelancers that do amazing work, so don't get me wrong there, but usually when someone's looking for a virtual assistant, you want someone that has corporate experience. You want someone that's used to coming from a bigger business than yours. You want someone that's used to routine, that corporate structure, and that's what you're looking for in a virtual assistant. Now, again, don't get me wrong, there are plenty and thousands and millions of freelancers that absolutely crush it as well, but when you think about a freelancer, their job is to get as many different jobs as humanly possible. So if you're watching this video and you're like, I need someone for 10 hours or 20 hours or 30 or 40, you're looking for someone that has a little bit more of a permanent solution for you, where they're giving you 10 hours a week of their brain space, 20 hours a week of their brain space, versus if you go onto some sites and you're looking for a freelancer, you're going to get 2 hours when they're available. You're going to get 2 hours here when they're available, and you're going to kind of be like an order taker, where you have to put in your order and then you have to wait for it to come back. You put in your order, you have to wait for it to come back. And so when we're building our job description, some of the keys of what we're putting into our job description is looking for experience in a BPO. Now, you can do this all across the world. BPO is a really popular term in the Philippines, which is where Sphere Rocket recruits over 90+% of our talent. But when we're in the Philippines, we're looking for BPO experienced virtual assistants. Now, again, that doesn't mean I don't hire freelancers that are rock stars and things like that, but normally the best talent has some level of corporate level experience. No different than if you were hiring in the United States, right? If you're hiring for an executive assistant in the United States, you could hire someone directly out of high school. You can hire someone directly out of college. You could hire the person that worked for a CEO for 10 plus years. And I can tell you that because the American dollar goes so far in the Philippines, you don't have to settle for someone just out of high school, someone just out of college. You can go find a virtual assistant that's done that position for many, many, many years. So again, when you're looking for a virtual assistant, one of the first steps that you're going to do is to make a really awesome job description using the ChatGPT template down below, specifically the GPT that we have created. And then the next thing is obviously doing the fluff. So the very first thing in the fluff that we just talked about was making sure that we're looking for BPO experience. When you put that, it's also going to deter a lot of people that know exactly what you're looking for, and you're going to have less applications usually, but the applications that would normally come in that look like freelancers are going to kind of disappear because they might not have that BPO experience. The second thing we're looking for is you want to be able to whittle down the candidates based on different criteria. So you might say, I'm looking for someone that lives in a metroplex, for example. That's going to increase the stability of the internet. It's going to increase the stability of electricity and different things like that. Now, again, as someone that's hired thousands and thousands of virtual assistants in the Philippines and have thousands of VAs that don't live in the metroplex, again, I'm trying to give you the best tips and tricks to increase your success. So if you're doing it on your own and you don't know anything about the area, you're going to want to try and stick to virtual assistants that live in metroplexes, because just by a general rule of thumb, they're going to have a greater chance of having internet stability, a little bit less prone to issues with like typhoons and flooding and different things along those lines. So again, to recap, number one, we're looking to add the BPO experience. Number two, we're looking to just add that line item that we're looking for VAs in the metroplex. The third thing we're going to add is we're going to add things around the specifications of their equipment. And so usually specifications of the equipment is helping us guard against virtual assistants that might have equipment that's 15 years old. I'll give you an example. If you're trying to hire a virtual assistant to do your video editing, but they're on a MacBook from 2004, you're going to wonder why. Why are my edits not so crystal clear? Why are my edits taking me 7 days to get back, right? Because they're having to upload and download and all these different things. And so we want to put specifications of the computer, right? So you might say, I want it to be this age at this thing. And again, down in the description of this YouTube video, I put some of the general descriptions of equipment that we normally like to see, just so you guys can kind of use that as a baseline. From there, we're going to put kind of a wish list of some things that make a candidate more attractive. In the job description, we're going to say, basically extra brownie points if you have a generator, if you have a backup internet. Again, these are all things that a lot of times you might not think about, because in America, we might only have one internet. I have one because it's online 99% of the time, where in the Philippines, virtual assistants that are kind of towards the top of their class, a lot of them will have two internets. So that way they might have, like, for example, these aren't the company names, so they might have an AT&T and a Comcast, and they pay for a big package on AT&T. They pay for like a safety package on Comcast, and the AT&T package is up most of the time, but if for any reason the wire gets cut, service goes down, then they can just flip the router and modem over to the backup, which is Comcast, just as an example. Sometimes they have prepaid cards. And so those are all bonus things that you want to put in your job description. Now, again, I've hired thousands of VAs that don't have generators and don't have this and don't have that. But since you're doing it on your own, one of the things that you want to do is to be able to dwindle down. Instead of getting 100 applications and having to interview all 100, you hope to maybe get 30 to 40 applications of people that primarily fit that description. Now, the last thing that we like to add when we are hunting for virtual assistants to join our team for our clients is we want to add some kind of video application. The video application, again, it's another thing to weed out those that are a little bit more reserved. The Philippines usually has a little bit more of a reserved culture, which is part of their culture, and it's something I really love. It's some of the nicest people in the world. But a lot of positions that you're looking to hire, you can't have them be too reserved. You need them to have the courage to tell you when you're doing things wrong, to, kind of boss you around as a business owner to make sure you're on track. And so one of the things that we do is that video request. It's like, hey, to apply for this job, also please provide a video intro, so that way we can kind of see people that are willing to put together that video intro, to put that forward. They're more likely to obviously be comfortable on camera. They're usually a lot more comfortable with their ability to speak English, different things like that. And so just kind of all around is a green flag for those that submit a video intro. Now, again, hired thousands of people that didn't submit video intros because their skills are so great. They have such experience, maybe they skipped it, but it's something that will help you doing this on your own weed out a little bit better. You've gotten the job description. So that was kind of step number one of finding a virtual assistant on your own, is you got to obviously make sure that you have a stellar job description. Number two is, where do I find the virtual assistant? Obviously, guys, there's going to be websites like Online Jobs PH, Remote Latinos. Those are two two of my favorite kind of do-it-yourself methods. You have things like Upwork, you have things like Fiverr, you have things like virtualstaff.ph. These are all platforms that are technically competitors of SphereRocket, but they're really not, because they're a do-it-yourself, right? You go on there, you post the jobs, you do all the screening, you do all the vetting, you do all of those things, right? Once you get your virtual assistant on board, hopefully you know how to manage a virtual assistant, you know all the intricacies of the compliance and the laws and things like that. And so those are great platforms, obviously, to do it yourself. While technically a competitor of ours, great platforms that have great quality products. So again, that's Online Jobs PH if you're looking in the Philippines. If you're looking in Latin America, Remote Latinos is a great option as well as an online platform. And then you obviously have the staples that have been around for a while, like Upwork and Fiverr. The thing I like about Online Jobs PH and Remote Latinos is they cater a little bit more towards virtual assistants that are looking for more permanent type work. And when I mean permanent, 10, 20, 30, 40 hours a week, where Upwork and Fiverr and some of those platforms kind of gear more towards like project based, right? It's like a set project with a set pay. They're very niche down into like, I build a website, and then after I build the website for you, I'm done. And so if you're looking for more of that ongoing work in many things like video editors or accounting or executive assistants or cold callers, usually I like to stick into the Online Jobs PH / Remote Latinos world. If you ask me, hey Justin, what's your success rate on Online Jobs PH and Remote Latinos? I'll just tell you, we don't really use those platforms because number one, they don't allow agencies on them for the most part. By the way, that's not like the best way to recruit, right? It's just the best way to do it yourself to recruit. It's not the best way in the world. The best way in the world, in my opinion, is to hire someone like us that has 80 plus full-time vetting screeners, matchmakers on board that are, going into the corporations and finding these people that are looking to transition from the corporate world to the online world, right? A lot of times I jokingly say that virtual assistant companies are really, really good at finding unemployed people to put into employment. A really, really good virtual assistant company is going to go find people that are already employed and present them opportunities from US-based clients like we do to draw them away from the corporation and to be able to work from home. Just kind of give you guys a little bit of things. So again, some of the best platforms for you guys to take a look at: Online Jobs PH, Remote Latinos, Upwork, and Fiverr. I put links to all those down in the description as well, so that you guys have an easy way to find those different videos. But those platforms are absolutely amazing if you're doing the hire yourself. If you guys can take the job description, add all those pieces of fluff that I talked about, from BPO to, descriptions of their computer, bonus points if they have being in the Metroplex, backup generators, things like that, and you start to post them on those platforms, you're going to have a really, really good chance of success compared to if you didn't do those things. Now, the last thing I'm going to say, guys, is that there's no such thing as overposting. When you're doing it yourself and you're choosing not to use a company like SphereRocket to do it for you at a higher level, when you're doing it yourself, you want to give yourself the best chance at success. So one of the things that I'm going to recommend you do is, there's no harm and no foul to, if you're hiring an executive assistant, for example, and you make an awesome job description, what I would do is I would log on to Online Jobs PH and I would make 2 job listings. I would make executive assistant to CEO, and I would make executive admin, right? So 2 job listings, but they're kind of hiring for the same position. I'd put the same job description in both, but a lot of times it works like an algorithm. It's going to show up twice. So on day 1, I'd post the first one. On day 2, I'd post the second one. And then same thing with like Remote Latinos. On day 1, I'd post the first one. On day 2, I'd post the second one. And then I would post one on Upwork and Fiverr. Now, if you're like, Justin, which one should I choose? Which platform should I choose? Guys, I really don't think that there's any harm. Remote Latinos and Online Jobs PH charge around $99 a month, but you only have to pay for it during your recruitment phase if you want to. So for the $199, it's an absolute steal of a deal to make those 4 job postings. Upwork and Fiverr are free to post on unless you want to like boost them. So I think having 2 on Online Jobs PH, 2 on Remote Latinos, 2 on Upwork, and 2 at Fiverr, you're utilizing 4 different platforms to give yourself the best chance of success of having as many candidates come through as possible. And I always like to say this: the amount of candidates you have come through is a direct correlation to the success that you have. If you have 1 candidate come in on Online Jobs PH, 1 candidate come in on Remote Latinos, and 2 on Upwork and 2 on Fiverr, and you're looking at 6 people to hire for your executive assistant role, and you're screening down from 6 to 1, you're going to find that your chances of success just naturally are really, really low compared to if, let's say, when I do a recruitment, I have 1,000 candidates and I dwindle it down to 1, just in the mass numbers. But even taking SphereRocket and what I do out of it, if you're just looking at the whole world in general, and there's billions and billions and billions of people, and you're going to settle, let me take you through this. Your business, which is directly responsible for making you all the money in your life, and the money in your life is directly responsible for taking care of your family and then going on vacations and in your security and your retirement and all those things. If you're going to put the trust of your entire business and future in the hands of an executive assistant to help you grow that business that you need to grow, and you only screened 6 people to find that person that's going to be critical to this critical piece of your life, there's a high chance that you're not going to see the success you want, right? But if you can interview 100, you just took your chances up 10, 15x just by the number of people that you were able to go through. So when you're going through this process doing it yourself, if you can have the skills to get hundreds and hundreds of applications, I think you're going to be okay. You have a higher chance of success. Again, not as high as if you had 1,000 candidates coming your way being screened down like Sphere Rocket does, but definitely a way better chance than if you just look at 5 resumes and then you interview 2 or 3 of them and then pick one. That's what a lot of people do, guys, because again, as a business owner, you're busy, you have families and different things like that, but you can't let those things prevent you from doing a quality recruitment. Because what you guys can imagine, if you're watching this video, you can imagine how many business owners try and shortcut this. They find the 6, they interview 3, they pick one, and then 3 months later they say, man, virtual assistants just don't work. Like, they suck, they do this, like they do that. They don't take any personal responsibility. They don't open their eyes and look around at, companies like ours that have placed 10,000 VAs with 4,000 people. Guys, we wouldn't have 10,000 VAs placed with 4,000 people if the system didn't work. Right? If people didn't come back to get a second and a third and a fourth, they wouldn't come back if it didn't work. I wouldn't have 150 personal executive assistants, or personal VA, should I say, on my team if they didn't work. I wouldn't just randomly be paying 150 people. When you look around the business industry and you talk to the highest performing teams, highest performing organizations, even as big as like Google and Chase and Bank and all those things, they wouldn't have virtual assistants if they didn't work, right? If their business came crumbling down with virtual assistants, they wouldn't have them. So a lot of times, like I said, when people shortcut it and say, oh, VAs don't work, and they tell their friends VAs don't work, it's because they didn't do the proper vetting. They didn't have the proper systems in place to be able to make a virtual assistant hire super successful. So with that being said, guys, those are my top tips and tricks when it comes to finding your own virtual assistant. Obviously, make sure you're using quality platforms. Make sure you're using a quality job description. In the job description, you include those, future Fluff type items to help you with that screening process down. From there, guys, I wish you guys the best of luck. Like I said in earlier parts of the video, there is a job description link down below. I put a link to all the different sites that we recommend as well. And then even further down, if you're like, Justin, that sounds like a lot of work, I want to make sure that my virtual assistant is absolutely a winner and I want to have the best chance of success, I also put a link to book a call with our team. We're happy to kind of review a little bit about what you're looking for in a virtual assistant, present you guys some options on how we can go out there and do all of that work I just talked about without you having to lift a finger. So again, guys, Justin Nelson here, CEO of Sphere Rocket Virtual Assistants, and that is how you have the best chance at hiring your own virtual assistant.